out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
Yourself and your soul together. This man will make your liver quiver.
Today's topic, I was thinking, we have, we all follow a lot of teachers on RTLs, and I was thinking, how do we integrate teaching with hip hop? So I thought, why don't we talk about, if we were going to teach a hip hop course, who do we study in these various categories? So the categories are going to be creativity, lyricism, MCing, production, DJing, and sequencing. And we're going to define those so that we at least have a criteria to go on. So Ed, why don't you start us off? What is your criteria for the first one? Or all of them, like for creativity, let's say.
For creativity, I would say, it sounds cliche, but just being creative, right? There's so many MCs who come out and want to do what the next or what the previous MC did, right? In hip hop, because they see that as, wow, they set the stage. That's what's popping. Let me do that. For me, creativity is thinking outside the box. Whether it be, with your rhyme schemes, with your flow, with the lyricism that you employ, or even, the production, or whatever the case is, creativity, you're gonna feel it right away. Wow, that's different. That's creative, So then the next one, for me, for MCing. I'll just skip forward to that one. MCing is more than just the rhymes or being lyrical or whatever, right? MCing is mic control, right? Move the crowd, right? As Rakim said, to me, MC means move the crowd, right? So it's being that commanding presence on the mic, and just owning it, regardless what your style is, right? To me, that's an MC whose presence on the mic you're gonna feel every single time. So you want me to continue, or we can have Rec do some?
Yeah, we'll do Rec. Go ahead. What is your criteria? What would be your criteria for creativity?
So creativity is a few things. Like, you might have your own style that's creative as far as the flow. You might have your own way of telling stories as far as like how you tell them. It could be the same story that someone else has told, but you tell it a different way, and you're able to do that more than once. It could be just your thoughtfulness on the mic, or just what you're rhyming about on a consistent basis. So that's creativity for me. Like, puts you in a certain sector. Like when I hear it, I'm like, oh no, he's going over here, or she's going over here. That's kind of where I look at the creativity. Like, can you separate yourself from everyone else and sound great doing it? And then with lyricism, I think it kind of all goes into the creativity as well, because you have to be creative to be an elite lyricist. Witty with wordplay, punchlines. Are you talking about something? Anybody can get on the mic and make words rhyme, but are you saying something that is something that we're going to be talking about, like on this panel or 15 years from now? So lyricism, it plays in my mind along with the creativity, because I think all of that goes together. You know.
Dope.
What's up, Rel?
How's it going, Rel?
What's good? What's good, y'all?
Nice to have you. Thank you for joining.
Busy day.
Me
Thank you
too.
for that. Glad you made it home safe.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're just starting, actually. We're just at the point where we're kind of defining two out of the categories. So what would be creativity for you, and what would be emceeing or lyricism, or both?
It's funny. I think in a way they both can tie into each other, but creativity is giving us something, taking risks, giving us something that we're not getting from everyone. You know what I'm saying? Attacking subjects at a different point of view that we might not. You know what I'm saying? Like just stuff like that. Like something out of the norm, and not being afraid to be yourself and take risks and give us something different. I think it's creativity. And then lyricism is I think people think lyricism is just the lyrical miracle guys. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily the case. You know what I'm saying? Like lyricism is putting the words together, but also making you be able to envision what they saying. And you don't have to be super technical sometimes to do that. You know what I'm saying? The special ones know how to do it. It's a skill to, I'm hearing words, but I can picture it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's why I like all of my favorite lyricists are really good at that aspect. You know what I'm saying? But then they both can kind of tie into each other. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I would define it.
And for me, creativity, like you guys said, I just echo what you guys say, is something out of the box, something you don't hear often. That could be an album, that could be a style, that could be a delivery, a cadence, something like that, or even just conceptually. And we'll get into that, I think, more when we talk about who we put in these categories. And for me, lyricism, Rel, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's way more than just the lyrical miracle. How many, words can you spit in a half a bar, like half a whatever. So yeah, like it's definitely, the only thing I'll add to that is, for me, lyricism is thought-provoking. So does the MC leave me with a quotable? Does the MC leave me with like a holy crap, like I love that quote, let me rewind that back, let me just, let me start that back from the top, like what did he say, or what did she say? That to me is what a great lyricist does. And yeah, MCing is all of that. It's again just a little bit bigger than that. So for me personally, how I like my criteria for MCing is seasoned MCs who are able to sort of, they have the delivery, they've got the flow, they've got the cadence, and they just do that so effortlessly, and kind of draw you in just from their charm, charisma, whatever you want to call it. It's all of that. So dope. What do you guys got for? Oh, and before we start, I just want to say a disclaimer. If an MC or group or producer isn't mentioned in a category, it's not to say that they don't belong there. It's not to say that we don't know they're great, or that we would send someone to go study them. It's just, I think, to diversify the, to diversify the list a little bit. It would be dope to add, like potential MCs or producers and albums that maybe we don't think about all the time, but absolutely belong in these categories. So with that said, Eddie, why don't you start us off? Who do you got for creativity? What do you got for creativity? Album, MC, producer?
Oh, wow. So for this 3 albums, 3.
Yeah, just name your first one. Or 3 of them, yeah.
So creativity for MCs, I'm going with Pharaoh Monch. and one of his albums, I think all his albums are creative, but from the stuff with Organized Confusion to his solo debut in Internal Affairs. But I really like what he did with. If I had to pick an album of his, I would say between what he did with We Are Renegades or even PTSD. Switching it up and kind of being a little bit more conceptual, playing characters and stuff like that. I also have for creativity, I go with Outkast. I think they switch it up every album, and gave you something that you didn't hear before. Both Big Boy and Andre, right? They were part of a group, right? But they were lyric wise, but they both kind of fit lyric wise and style wise. But they both fit. They both had they both ended up having their own eccentricities that kind of added to the creative quality of like albums like Aquemini, right? And that would be the album that I'll put there. Will be Aquemini as far as being their really creative album. And Busta Rhymes, I'll say he's very, very creative, like just out the gate. His rhyme patterns, like how he used like his voice, going out there. And so the album I have for him is Disaster. When Disaster Strikes. I think that's when he started. It's not my favorite Busta Rhymes album, but I think to me it's his most creative, right? That's when he started playing around with his flow and delivery more. So like his cadence and flow on Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See, for example, didn't sound like what he was doing on Scenario or anything on The Coming, right? He wasn't rah 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 all over that. He got way more creative on that. So nice. And I don't know. I mean, like producers, I
if you don't have producers in there, it's all good. You're good with the MCs.
feel like so I'm not really sure on that side of things.
Okay.
But if I threw like how he used Raekwon's album, on the Master Mafioso themes, what he did with ODB's album, that added to the theme of that album, sounding like the gritty raw ODB that he was on the mic, and Liquid Swords and so on and so on. I think RZA is super creative, so and you definitely get the full spectrum of that.
Thank you for that. DJ Rec 1, what do you got? Who do you got for creativity?
So I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in this one, right? So for creativity, right, I got a newer MC, I'll say. Akeem Ali. So this cat is from Atlanta, and you might have seen him on social media in the last year or two. He's got this pimp moniker, right? But he's rapping, and I mean he's spitting to the point you get like, hold up, why is he doing this? Well, I went and I did some research, and I didn't know that he was Akeem Ali. I found him when he was doing this pimp moniker, and when I found Akeem Ali, his actual just who he came out as, I was floored. I was absolutely floored. This kid can rap, he's creative, and he tells stories in his cadence as he's rapping, to the point to where you have to rewind to hear what he said play it back and then to be like, oh shit. He is one of the cats that if he can get a break from a standpoint of creativity, I think he'll be someone who is underrated or flies under the radar until that time. Check out the Roland album, and then check out, he has an album called Keenan Casanova. I think it covers the lyricism part, the storytelling, and just all around just like cadence and just how he is on the microphone as far as just confidence, right? And then for my third, I gotta throw the Apartment 5B fam in there. Trey Lee, his Glory album. I think that is the most creative album of 2020. It was a CNN live of what we were dealing with, actually on the spot. He caught it before anyone else was talking about anything. Within that 3-month window, that March to June, he caught it. And I've always told Trey that, like, this is probably the most creative body of work in that short time period of the span. He was able to tell stories, be witty, brag, and still talk about the everyday dealings of being trapped in your house, you know, for 3 months. And it's one of the most beautiful bodies of work I've heard. You know, I still tell people you need to listen to this, and it's going on almost 2.5 years later. So I think from a creativity standpoint, those three things, or those three albums, are albums that you should check out, that will give you an understanding. Like, if we were teaching the class, like you said, I would let people hear those because they cover all of those bases.
Nice. And Tracy Lee, I mean, he's dope because even Many Faces was a creative album for the time.
Yes.
When we remember in '97 when that dropped, like, I don't know a ton of MCs. I don't even know any MCs that were doing that kind of concept at the time. Trey's sort of always been pushing the envelope and always ahead of his time. And we're not just saying this because Trey's a friend and fam of the show, but his albums are truly, and I mean, I've got Trey on my list too, but his albums are truly ones to mention here. And
to that point, because you're gonna give him his flowers, right? Piggyback off of that is, I feel like albums like that, creative albums like that, may not be fully appreciated until later on, right? Because you may be so ahead of your time as far as like the creativity and concept, right? Like, was everyone really understanding all the different characters, right? And if you open the liner notes, right, he breaks down all the characters in his liner notes and all that, right? So all the different aspects of his personality, right? But people didn't really, a lot of people didn't really catch on to that or didn't get it, right? They heard the single and they kind of expected, maybe expected the rest of the album to kind of be that kind of party, type of hip hop.
Right, right. Rel, what about you? Who you got for creativity?
All right, creativity. I got Ghostface.
Nice.
I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, everything about his career has just been creative and outside of the box and just his own thing. And that's what he's a lot of people's favorite MC out of that collective. So, and you can go down a line, his storytelling, and he's telling stories that are not the typical, I got into a beef and shot somebody, you know what I'm saying? Not typical stories. Like, he goes into sometimes into like a fantasy land where it's like really a story, like a story you would read to a child or something, you know what I'm saying? Like he was never shied away from you know what I'm saying, being creative with his music. And I had Outkast as well. All of their albums, they just take you in a different place. And they were able to kind of, like, if you go from the first album on, they were able to kind of change and give you something different, but it still be dope, you know what I'm saying? Not many people do that. And I have Master Ace.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
you go down his catalog and it's just like creativity. You know what I'm saying? Like concept albums, and then like an album that I like is the you know, he had the what was it?
I think it was Disposable Acts.
No, way before that. So Master Ace Incorporated.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you talking about Slaughterhouse? Yes, come on now.
Yeah,
Chrome
yeah,
album.
yeah, and then you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And the gold one.
Careful that fool, homie.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so, you know what I'm saying? His whole career has been, you know, that. And I had 3 quick albums. Sticky Fingers album was super creative to me. The autobiography of Kirk Jones was super creative to me. Speaker Box, Love Below was a creative double album. And I had Many Faces because I know at that time that was, I think that's part of the reason why it didn't get received like it should have. It was way ahead of its time for that time that it came out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people were not really ready for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got.
Nice. And for me, I've got Outkast, and you guys mentioned Outkast, so I don't want to, you know, spend too much time on it. But like Eddie said, Outkast to me, every album was something different, and Outkast knew exactly how to push the envelope with not only concepts but just sound, with soundscapes and their styles, and even all the way to their like fashion. Andre and Big Boy were just very different but so complementary. And I know on Apartment 5B we love Outkast. We're always talking about how their chemistry was, what a great duo they were. So for me, I absolutely think Outkast belongs in this category so much, like for so many reasons. And then I've got RJ Payne in here as well. And the reason I got RJ Payne in this is not only because he's one of my favorite MCs currently, but because RJ to me is consistently mastering. Well, he has mastered, and he's consistently proving that he's mastered the art of these audio movies that he puts together in the form of albums. So my favorite joint is Leatherface 2, which was, I think, back in 2017, I want to say. But every single one after that too, like he just released Blood on My Chainsaw a couple of weeks ago, and that is the exact, it's the same. It's different, but still an audio movie, and he does this so well that I just absolutely love it. And nobody else has been able to do like the horror rap like he can. And I feel like, to me, that's a lane, and that's a creative lane that he's sort of created and mastered and stayed in. He knows what works. It's just knocks it out of the park every time. And he's got an album dropping on April 30th too, I think, and I can't wait for that. So yeah, and then for another one, actually, I think Eddie touched on it when you mentioned the RZA. I've got the RZA in this category, but for the actual, like, I guess, like, creation of the Wu-Tang Clan in general. At the time, there were crews, but there wasn't a collective that was put together in the same way that the Wu was, with the same kind of, I guess, mindset that the RZA had to, like, bring them together as a group, bring all 9 MCs together, put them all on an album, a 5-mic album, and then release solo joints and you know, kind of push their solo careers as well and nurture that and cultivate that. So for me, that was just an industry creation that hadn't really existed in the same way. So for me, RZA sticks out in that category a lot. So those are mine. Who you got for lyricism, for lyricists? And I mean, we talked about what that means. So who you got, Eddie?
All right, so I think all of mine might be popular, but I'll start off with the God MC Rakim.
Nice.
And you know, you got to mention him because he changed the way people rap. You know, I mean, he took a jazz concept of writing and and the whole rhythm, right? And MCs weren't really kind of thinking like that, right? And so he came with a very unique rhythm and pattern to his rhymes that was, never before, right? And so he changed, but not only that, but his lyricism, right? The impact that he made in his words, right? The things that he was talking about, right? He was very, I don't know if he's in this. I guess you say it was like more 5% knowledge kind of rhymes, right? He did that, but just in general, right? I got soul. I mean, the Payne, follow the leader. I mean, I could leave it. Like I'm a belabor the point. So he's my number one right there, and I'm gonna go with the Jizza. As far as a lyricism, I mean, what he did on Liquid Swords. I mean, the way he had a lot of songs where it was just him kind of describing the scene for you, and his ability to make it all so vivid is amazing. Like I'm still amazed, right? And when Rel mentioned Ghostface, something that I was thinking about Ghostface is not just his detail and his stories, but what he chooses to highlight in the details, right? And Ghostface has that, and I feel like the Jizza has that, right?
Yep.
So what is it? I think Killer Hills 103 or 4, or when he's talking about a dude who was hiding, the cocaine in his hollow leg.
In his leg,
The pirate limp gave it away, right? So it's like stuff like that, man. He has that all throughout that album, and just his other stuff too, man. He's just a genius lyricist, right? And the way his flow and cadence, he just makes it so unique to himself as well. And then I gotta throw Nas in there, man. Nas is just everything, right? From his storytelling to his spitting and I mean, he's just a pure MC, and you could tell he studied the greats, right? You hear the Rakim, you can hear the Cool G rap in him, right? And he's a student that became the teacher, and yeah, to me, is if you're teaching lyricism, you gotta have Nas in there.
Thank you for that, Eddie. Tracy, Lee, JR, I'm so sorry to make you guys wait so long. I am new to the back end of this. I didn't even see you guys, so I apologize.
Don't worry about it. It's all good.
You guys, I'm so sorry.
What are you talking about? I'm late. What do you mean?
Right, I'm late. Right.
Trey,
I'm sorry. I love that you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining. Trey,
she's Canadian. She's gonna apologize about everything. That's the Canadian way.
Hey, look, man, I'm late as hell.
Right.
It's all good to be late. I apologize for making you guys late. But I don't know how long you guys were what you were listening to. Trey, you've already been mentioned. You know how it is here on Apartment 5B. You're a friend of the show, fam of the show.
Yeah,
so we appreciate
I didn't even know you were showing up. If I'd have known, I'd have waited till you got on to give you your flowers. Straight up.
I always have to give the disclaimer. It's not because Trey's part,
Hey,
fan
listen.
of the show.
Hold on. Before I gotta find out what you mentioned me for first.
Oh,
So two things.
Yeah,
I heard all
So
this.
Rec 1 mentioned Glory. Rec
Yeah.
1 mentioned Glory, and me and Rel mentioned Many Faces.
Oh.
Yeah, we were talking about creativity, and what I said was, in that 3-month time span from March to June, you caught it. Just you. Out of as many rappers in the world as there are, Tracy Lee, you caught it, embodied it, and gave it to the people in due time. It was like CNN for us, the hip hop heads, the regular everyday people. Like you get in music form, you gave us that. No one else has given us that.
Wow.
It's documented. Think about it. It's documented.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
You went right in wherever you was at in the house and was like, all right, I'm writing. And from March to June, you was like, hey, I'm putting this out now. No one else did that.
That's a fact.
No one else did that. I don't care who you say you are, who you say you got in the bag with you. This man right here, in the middle of my screen. So I had to give you that from a standpoint of the creativity and the impact of it, because we still talk about it. We still talk about it. I still throw this joint in my mixes, and cats still ask me like, "Yo, hold up, I didn't know he dropped something." I'm like, "Yo, that's the homie. See me after this, and I got you."
No doubt.
So we still pushing folk to the album on a daily basis, man. One person at a time. That's what it's got to be.
And then, we're also talking about how creative an album Many Faces was, but also so far ahead of its time, like conceptually, that I don't think it was as appreciated as it should have been, because it went over a lot of people's heads, you know what I mean? And Brel was talking about as well. I think Portia mentioned it as well, you know what I mean? It was just such a crazy, creative and conceptual album.
I appreciate it, and I think that's just gonna be my calling until I'm no longer here. It's like to kind of push the envelope way ahead before anybody else even catches up to it. And I thought it was, a fault of mine or something that I needed to correct. But as time goes on, it's like that's just what I do. Either you catch on now, or you catch on later, or you don't catch on at all. But
right, it's not for them.
It is, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate it.
Right. So we'll just catch up to speed. Trey and
I'm sorry. Hold on. JR, I wear a 2 or 3XL. Fuck is my shirt, man?
You really came to my neck. I just got on here. Also, you chill tonight, so
listen,
I can get back at you then. So then we can do this then.
Hey, I need my shirt.
Since he mentioned it, I'm
I'm late, and then I get it, because I'm.
We don't care about you being late. That shirt is fire.
It was fire. Yo, drop the link, man. I would support. And that color.
I hate y'all. Don't even worry. I'll give it to y'all.
That color is fire. Yeah, that whole situation.
Got something to match with that. Send the invoice. Stop playing.
All right, I got y'all.
So we'll start maybe
That's
Trey.
the Wu-Tang Killer Beat colorway too.
Sorry?
I said that's the Wu-Tang colorway too.
Yeah, that's true. Good yellow. I love it. So Trey, who do you have which MCs would you put in the creativity category? And what does creativity mean to you? Because we talked about it. We mentioned, pushing the envelope, thinking outside the box, whether that's conceptually with albums or whether that's, which we'll talk about concept albums in another category, but whether that's the style of the MC or if it's the way that they present their albums or the concepts that they have. What is creativity to you, and who do you put in that category?
Creativity to me is somebody that embodies a style, a way that they a form of presentation that is unique to anything else that you've heard up to that point. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that sets the trend, and you might see a whole bunch of people copy it after the fact. Two groups or two people that I want to bring to the forefront, I want to lump them together, are Tretch and DOS Effects.
I love that you mentioned Tretch. He never gets mentioned.
Please clarify for those who don't know.
I appreciate it.
Tretch and DOS Effects started a trend. It's not their fault that it became a part of pop culture, right?
Yes.
It's not their fault. They set it off.
Yes.
They set it off and had a gang of people rhyming like them shortly thereafter. That's just how hot it was.
Yeah.
it's undeniable. This is documented. You can go look it up. I don't care what you say. These cats, like, they started a bonfire, man, and all of a sudden everybody's iggity, and everybody's rapping in the way that Tretch raps. You know what I'm saying? The rapid fire, the way his cadence and delivery and all that, the way he ended certain bars, the bar structure, like all of that, man. So I want to mention those guys first. I'm not saying they're number one on the list, but I don't think, like Rex said, I don't think enough credence is given. You know what I'm saying? Enough glorified. They don't glorify them enough. And I think that's largely due because it caught so fast in pop culture that, after a while, and it caught on so fast that after a while it was like here today, kind of gone, maybe a year or two later. You know what I'm saying? But that's not their fault. They're the creators of the style. You know what I'm saying? Another form of creativity is, I heard like storytelling. You know what I'm saying? The way you tell stories, Big is a master at that. You know what I'm saying? Nas, master at that. Somebody mentioned Jism, that master at that. You know what I'm saying? Scarface, master. You know what I'm saying? Kool G Rap, master. You know what I'm saying? Where you can tell a story and you can get the beginning, the middle, and the end, and it all sounds cohesive. You know what I'm saying? So I want to lump them in that fold right there. You know what I mean? Rakim, creative, first of his kind. He broke the mold. You know what I'm saying? He's the first of his kind to rap with such clarity and diction and science. And you know what I'm saying? I think he comes from the school of Melly Mel, who kind of broke the mold, honestly. But Rakim gave it to you in a way that was, like he said, there was tones, there's a vocal tone to it. Mel kind of just gave it to you, in your face. You know what I'm saying? Rakim gave it to it in a melodic way. You know what I mean? Check out my melody, light up.
And how many times did people try to tell Rakim to change that because it wasn't what was what the style was at the time. It wasn't the sound that MCs. It wasn't the cadence that people were rhyming in at the time. And he was like, "Nah, this is me. This is how I'm going to do it."
And I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't. And please, the rap gods, please don't crucify me. Slick Rick goes into this creative space. Come on, man. Nobody was sounding like Slick Rick before Slick Rick.
Nice. Thank you for that, Rick.
That's all I got.
Nice. JR, R&B guru. You can do hip hop. You can do R&B. I'm hoping you're going to do R&B because I'm here to learn from you always. So, what you got for creativity? If you're going to go R&B,
okay, I can go up the top with it.
Let us know what your criteria is for like if you were going to tell someone, study these R&B artists for creativity. What does that look like? Why them?
Creativity is something that I feel like you're somebody that's kind of pushing the envelope. You're being very different from what everybody is doing. You know what I mean? And that's something very creative because it seems like now in the mainstream we have the same thing and everybody, that's what we're complaining about. There's nobody different. There's nobody cutting, there's no different molds out there. Everybody's the same. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna start with about creativity, I would say these three that comes off the top: Marvin, Stevie, and Prince.
That is, you can't go wrong.
I can feel like creative wise, nobody was doing what Marvin was doing in '71. Nobody was doing what Stevie was doing in the '70s, '80s at all. And when it comes to Prince, absolutely nobody was doing what he was doing. Like, this dude was talking about sex in Little Red Corvette, and you weren't thinking about that. You were thinking about, he was talking about a car. Like, that's what you thought. But if you read those lyrics, he's talking about a chick. Like, he's saying this chick is a hoe, basically. If you read the lyrics, like, it is. Like, what?
It's much too fast.
Right. Like, he like, yo, I know this ain't gonna work. Dudes done been there before, but it's Saturday night. What's up? Like,
right.
But you're not thinking about that, and that's some people can't really do that now. Like how he was doing and how he was flipping it. Because before then, he was doing Dirty Mind, which had songs like Head, or he was very vulgar with it. But he was like, all right, I gotta switch this because people are thinking I'm too vulgar. I'm gonna say it like this, even though I'm commercially accepted. You know what I mean? So to be like that and write like that and be creative, I think those three right there, you want to talk about R&B and creativity, those are the three that will come off the top.
So, and then Rap Lava, thank you so much for joining. It's always nice to see you. It's been a while.
What's going on, Grant?
I can't even see who
There you are.
This dude, this the coolest man on the planet here. What up? Hey, look, man, you gonna start doing voiceovers or what, man? You gonna start doing voiceovers? I read the threads. You gonna start doing voiceovers?
Yeah, I need that work, man.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I need to do an adult cartoon or something.
I mean,
I could do a great Jamaican. I could do.
There you go.
Stuff.
There you go.
But hold up, JR, real quick. I have to say about Prince.
Yes.
I have to harken back to our brother Rick James and ask, consider what he was doing, like going through Prince.
Mm-hmm. He was.
Prince.
Yes, he was, and that's why
because
Rick James.
You know, I know that they had beef over, Rick thought he was biting him.
They were around the same time, right?
Not actually.
No, Rick was before him.
Rick was before Prince.
Slightly.
Rick brought him on tour with him.
Yeah.
Right.
And
They started at the same time, but Rick blew before Prince.
Right.
He blew before Prince, because Prince ain't blow until that second album.
Right.
He kind of blew and people knew him, but he was the opening act for Rick.
Mm-hmm.
But I could definitely see the similarities.
Oh yeah, and that's what Rick was pissed off. That's why he was like, "Yeah, I am Rick James, bitch." Like, no, for real, like.
I just thought about that when, but yeah, he definitely was a musical monster, Prince, man. I mean, the Ballad of Dorothy Parker, just that song alone, man. My God, man. What were you doing? I just wish I could have been a fly on the wall to see him create that song. That's a real record. Well, what was the question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so I was just about to
and peace to everybody. I can't really see who.
Well, I'll tell you who's here. It's Eddie.
I know Trey is here. I know JR is here.
Yeah.
Who's that leaning forward in the blue hat?
Rel is here out of Philly.
Salute.
What's up, bro?
Out of Philly.
You on your phone, son? You on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
Yeah, I figured.
You won't be able to see him. We've got Eddie, DJ Rec 1, JR, Trey Lee,
Okay.
Rel, you,
Okay.
me.
Okay. What's up, Eddie? What's up, Brad?
Yo, what's good?
What up, Brad?
It's
We know.
full house.
So what was the?
I just feel bad Keel's not here at
It's
this
all
point.
good. Salute
We
to
got
Trey. You know how he do.
Nah,
We
we
hold
hold
it
it down.
down for the brother.
We love
That's
Gil,
it.
but we don't miss him.
Too.
We love him.
You know what I'm saying? Look, but no, salute to
Yeah,
that,
so-
man. What was the question?
Yeah, so the question was, if you were gonna, I mean, I think you're in the education system as well. So if you were gonna teach hip hop and you were going to tell students or people wanting to learn who to study as a great in various categories, who would you tell them to go study, and what do you define that as your criteria? So we're talking about the creativity point right now. So what is creativity to you, and who do you think falls within that category? So far we've said Outkast, Tracy Lee, man, Eddie, help me out. I forget.
Ghostface.
Ghostface, Busta
yeah,
Rhymes.
Busta
Yeah.
Rhymes. Yeah.
So creativity to me is like it's definitely has a connection to the Most High involved. You know what I mean? It's like a funnel system. Like, you know what I mean? It's what comes from the Most High through you and you give it to the world. You know what I mean? That's how I feel sometimes when I dance. You know what I mean? Especially when I was younger. You know what I mean? I could really, really move and groove. It just felt like that to me. It felt like it was just like I'm supposed to do this in this moment right now. I'm supposed to give the people this right here, right now. Creativity. That's what it kind of feels like to me. I think MCs feel that as well when they're writing around. I'm supposed to say this right here, right now, in this moment. I got to give this to the people. You know what I mean? That's what I feel coming from Tracy Lee's album, from the Glory album. That's what I feel coming from that. You know what I mean? So creativity, that and he's definitely a brother, I would say, that has of creative juices flowing through him. I gotta go with my brother Dilla, Madlib, my bro, of course. Oh man, Leon Silvers, man, the way he creates bass lines, you know what I mean?
Ooh, good one.
Amazing, you know what I mean? Simply amazing. Cause he can do slow music, up tempo, down, slow jams, fast, whatever funk you want, whatever, disco, whatever you want, 4 on the floor, however you want it, he could give it to you like that and keep it funky. Man, Boogaloo Shrimp, the way he moved, you know what I mean? That's creativity, you know what I mean? I just was watching Star Wars, rest in peace to King Dead, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's creativity, you know what I mean? Because he was a DJ, a MC, and a graffiti artist, you know what I mean? And he was one of the few links from that time to this time,
right?
That stayed relevant. You know what I mean? Like that really stayed relevant. You know what I mean? Salute to the brothers who came from that time and are still alive in this time.
Fact.
But he kept himself relevant. You know what I mean? Up until his passing, literally. You know what I mean?
That's rare air, Grap. That's rare air.
Yeah, that's rare air. Amazing to me, bro. Like he was in Star Wars, bro.
Yes.
Like he was in Star Wars, okay?
Right.
In 81, 82.
Yes.
You see me? And now he up here still getting into drama and 20 this, 20 blah blah blah.
On Hot 97 and just doing his own thing with it. Like you're right, the time, think about the time span, bro. It's
crazy, bro. That's what I was saying.
Years, yeah, man, that's 40
yeah, yo. That was the first thing I thought of. So to me, he's creativity. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's just a few people I just call up, but there's so many more. Larry Smith, you know what I mean? I can call up a lot of producers, you know what I mean? James Brown,
in the producers category. Save the producers for the producer category.
Okay.
You stole one of mine.
I'm gonna stop. I'm sorry.
So then we were on.
I have my time. I got to get to work in the morning, so I got to get some sleep in a few. So.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for stopping.
Man, it's Friday, man. It's Friday.
I know.
So next category.
Kids, yo.
Next category is lyricists.
You need that rest.
1,000 lunch bunches to do. Mr. P, you got me for a lunch bunch? Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Sorry, y'all. Sorry.
All good.
Talk about work.
So the next category is lyricists. Eddie mentioned Rakim, Nas, and Jizza for lyricists. Yeah. So define what lyricism is. I think we did. Me, Eddie, and Rec. But you guys, when I get to you. So Rec, I think we left off with you. Who do you got in your lyricist category?
Oh man, lyricist category. Let's see. I'm on my monkey wrench shit tonight, so I'm going with Skyzoo. Nice. Skyzoo is a modern day poet. He is from that camp of just giving you everything in the album. And it's conceptual and it's a story with it, as well as bars. And I think he has taken that torch and ran with it. He is in his own lane and he's in the corner and he can do that.
And he's very technical. Very technical.
Yes. I love the fact that he takes time with his albums. He doesn't take a whole lot of time, but he'll take those pockets of his life, write about them, and move on to the next concept. Like, that's very hard to do without backtracking and pulling something else. And he's able to take one pocket, one piece of it, and move into a spot and say, okay, I've written about that. Let's go to something else. That's hard to do. Creativity. Let's see.
I think we're on lyricism.
We're on lyricism?
Yeah, lyricism.
Okay. I'm not gonna do that. Let's see who we got. I'm gonna go with skills. Mad skills. This man's able to branch out and freestyle a career. Not that he has freestyled his whole career, but he's known for that. His lyricism, I'm a fan of. He's able to give himself a lane when he was doing that, and it's not a bad issue. It's not a bad thing. Last one. Let's see. Go with Bun B, repping the South.
Nice.
Go with Bun. Bun's been able to take that and torch and run with it with the unfortunate passing of Pimp C, and that's a hard thing to do when one half of your moniker is gone, and you have to find a new way for yourself as opposed to writing 6/12 or 6/16s. You got to write 12 or 14 to 15. Yep. They all got to sound like that's a hard thing to have to fall into when you've never had to do that. And I think he's been able to recreate himself lyrically to do that. You know, he's an artist that does features like crazy, and I think it's a reason for that.
Nice. Dope mentions, correct. Rel, what about you? And define what lyricism is to you. What is your criteria, and who do you put in that category as a grade?
I defined it when y'all did, but I can do it again.
Yeah, do it again.
Just basically, you know, when I can hear your words but envision what you're talking about, you know what I'm saying, where you're able to take the listener someplace else, you know what I'm saying? They're not sitting in their living room there where you got them at, you know, with your words, you know what I'm saying? You know, the imagery and the things like that, the literary devices that we use in life, you're able to use them in your lyrics. And just, you know, it's not always rapidy rap lyrical miracle to be a good lyricist, you know what I'm saying? It's how you put your words together, choosing the right words to use to bring me to a certain place when I hear your lyrics. And my three are, of course, I got Nas. Coming from me, that's self-explanatory. But I mean, that's been his staple since he came out. You know what I'm saying? He's been able. He'll give you things that if you say it, you know where it came from, what song, when it came out, and where you was at when you heard it. You know what I'm saying? There's only the great ones that can do that. I'm gonna go in a different direction with my other two. I'm gonna go Razzcast. Nice. Just listen to Nature of the Threat, and then you'll understand what I mean. That song is I've never heard nothing like that before, to be able to put something like that together. And he's throughout his career, he's been, you know, somebody that's just been putting together crazy verses and wordplay and stuff like that from the West Coast. And then I'm gonna go with Lupe Fiasco. And you know, I know some people don't really mess with him, but if you really listen to his albums, like he spits, and he he has that song Murals, and Murals is just crazy, just 100 bars of just you know what I'm saying, it's almost too much, you know what I'm saying? But he's another one that can you know, put your mind into another place and make you envision some of the things that he talks about, you know what I'm saying? He gets real technical with his wordplay and with his selection of words. And you know, he's been one of my personal favorites since he came out. So that's my 3.
Nice. Thank you for that. Tracy Lee, define what lyricism is to you, and who do you put in that category?
I don't think I can mention any more than what has already been mentioned, but I will say that I think a lot of people confuse lyricism with lyrical acrobats.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned that a couple times, but I like that you're re-mentioning it as well.
Like you know, there's some degree of difficulty in doing the acrobatics with the lyrics, and you know, as people would call it, that, you know, lyrical miracle, whatever. But I've never been a fan of that, because if it's not cohesive and it's not taking me in a direction,
right,
then I'll stop listening after a while. Like, where's the direction with it?
Yeah.
So I just want people to understand the lyricism is not performing these lyrical acrobatic feats, like, you know what I mean? So in my mind, that's what it's not. Lyricism is something that, you know, you can, I think somebody mentioned it before, where it's like almost like reading a book, and it's giving you a beginning, a middle, and the end, and it's using select words. I'm a big fan of words, not using words just for the sake of them, but using words that have meaning into the direction, and using different words that other people don't use.
Yes,
that
sir.
you be like, damn, that shit sounds fire, but what the hell does it mean? Let me look it up.
Yeah.
That's what I look for. You know what I'm saying? What does that mean? Or if I do know what it means, be like, God damn it, he used that shit. Woo, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, and with that being said, I'm gonna go with some of the newer jacks. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm from the 80s era, but I want to appreciate some of the newer jacks, and they not new, but they're newer than, you know, when we came out. But Kendrick is a master, and I can't wait for his new album. He's a master. Like,
yes, sir. He's one of mine.
I mean, the boy is incredible. And that's why people say, look, I don't care how long you take, Kendrick. Whenever it comes, we're here. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? Like, we're patient. We know what you can do. You know what I'm saying? Another cat I want to mention, and he's really been on fire lately, because I think he feels like not enough people are giving him his just due, and I know why, but you can't take away from his lyricism, and that's J. Cole. He's been on fire lately. You know what I'm saying? On fire, like he has something to prove, and I like that, because he's about 10 years in the game, and he still has that hunger. You know what I'm saying? He still has that, I want to prove myself. So I'm always, and you know, the lyrics are cohesive, blah, blah, blah. And the third person I want to mention came out shortly after I did, you know, maybe about 4 or 5 years later, maybe something like that. But, and he actually rhymes about the same thing, but he's the best coke rapper of all time. The devil is in the details. I just heard the new album. The devil is in the details. I don't want to hear any other coke rapper but Pusha T.
Push. Yes, let's go.
No disrespect, but I just don't want to hear it. Unless it's Push, I don't want to hear it, because it gives you the cinematic. Like, he'll tell you what temperature the shit is supposed to be. The knob is supposed to be on the stove. And the gas, like, you know, what color the stove is, and the handle, and what it's made out of. And, yo, it's like, just when you think, I don't want to hear no more coke rap, here comes this guy, and I'm like, I'm intrigued every time. I'm like, this is crazy.
Wow.
This is crazy.
That's
The
great.
devil is in the details. That's lyricism. If you can rap about the same thing your entire career and I still want to hear it,
Yes,
I gotta give it to you.
I have to give you that one, Trey. Dope.
I gotta give it to you.
Nice. JR, what do you got? If you want to go R&B, you can do, I can give you an R&B category, or if you want to do a hip hop, we can do
You can give me that. What you gonna give me?
the R&B one.
Yeah.
Vocal range. I'm dying to hear this.
Who would I put there?
Yeah,
A few
as
people.
a study for vocal range. So who has like the best like ability to I don't know. For me, I love Brandy's voice. I don't know if you would say Brandy in this situation, but that's an example of like a vocal range to me.
I got you.
Carey or Whitney Houston or somebody like that. But
I got you, because you saying this is kind of like you got to study them and study the range.
Yeah.
So I would say Aretha, Luther, and Whitney.
Woo, God damn.
If you want to study anybody,
We need to pause and delay on that.
those are the three you need to study. And I feel like with that, you will know who is inspired by all three of those. You know what I mean? So it's like, those are the three. Like, those are your master classes right there. It's like,
It doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get better.
Like, where do you go as far as vocal range? You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody gonna take a song like Luther. Ain't nobody gonna do a song like Whitney. Ain't nobody gonna do a song like Aretha. So you listen and you kind of want to see what they doing. It makes you want to do it. You know what I mean? And then you realize you can't. So you got to kind of do something a little different. You know what I'm saying? like, you know what I mean? And I feel like, and when you say Brandy, I think that she definitely changed the culture too, because I mean, she got her skills from Whitney. So it's like, she realized she couldn't, that range Whitney got, she ain't touching.
Right.
So she like, all right, I'm a fix the range I got, but I'm a master the hell out of it. And I think now, these kids now in this generation now feel like you can run all over the place thinking you doing something and you're not. And they think Brandy just runs. She runs and do all this, but that's not what she does. You know what I mean? And that's what they getting confused with these master classes. It's like, okay, y'all seeing Brandy live and she's doing all these runs, but it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like Jasmine Sullivan, she does it and she's a master at it. But everybody think, well, let's do what she's doing, and y'all not mastering what they doing. They took for what they got from the Luthers and the Whitneys and the this, and they made it their own. So those three, Whitney, Aretha, and Luther, period. Both range it is.
And just
You
a
don't have to say
reminder,
no more.
JR was in studio sessions with everybody.
I knew she was gonna say it. I was waiting.
50 till 2022.
I
I don't know, the math doesn't math, but it does. So let's just clear that up right away. Graf Leva, who you got for lyricism? What is lyricism for you, and who do you put in that category?
Just for the sake of time, I'm gonna go, with what the brothers said, man. Everyone pretty much covered what was said about lyricism in terms of lyricism, especially what Tracy said as well. Trey Lee said to it. For me, one of my lyricists is Mr. Elzai from Detroit. That's
Eddie was gonna love that. Eddie loves Elzai.
I love Elzai, man.
I apologize. I kind of wanted to start with a master storyteller, and that would be Ricky Walters. Ricky Walters, aka Slick Rick, then Elzai, because Elzai can give you that mastery of storytelling, and he could give you that mastery of that lyrical miracle whipping, flow like that. He can give you a little bit of both of those, and then he incorporates the lyrical miracle with the storytelling, which gives you something hot. You know what I mean? So, Slick Rick and Elzai. A third one, kind of bouncing some folk around in my head. I definitely want to mention Kendrick.
Nice.
He's an incredible, lyricist. And Andre 3000. I'll say Andre 3000.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Without question.
Both choices. And for me, I mentioned it at the beginning, but lyricism to me is, like Rel said, and I'll echo it, it doesn't always mean lyrical miracle, although that's part of it too for some people. But for me, lyricists leave me with something. They're thought-provoking, they leave me with quotables, they get me thinking. I often find myself being like, I need to hear that track because I want to hear that quote again. What did he just say? What did she just say?
Pause. Could you repeat that? Because I think that was something I should have said, but you hit it. Quotables. You gotta give me quotables.
Yeah. So the three that I have not only are, I mean, Black Thought I've got in this list because I feel like he's the poster child for lyricism and lyrical miracle rap. But the track that kind of stands out for me always is Concerto of the Desperado off of the Philadelphia album. And that one for me is because of the analogies and the biblical references and the like sports reference. He's just everywhere and making sense. I know Kill's always kind of poking at Thought for not staying on track and not making sense for a long time, but on that track, Thought just kills it, and I love the references that he leaves me with. I'm constantly like, did he really say that? Like, did he do all of that? So for me, Black Thought for sure. And I've got Tracy Lee on this list. And again, not because Tracy Lee's a friend and fan of the show, but because that Glory album for me is, like Rex said, it's a time capsule. And I've said this when I had that as my favorite album in 2020, but I love, like, Dewy Eyes sticks out for me. That made me totally connect with what was going on around everywhere. It was sort of that whole album, Glory album, just made it feel like everybody is going. We knew it was a global thing, but then when you hear someone talk about the emotions and kind of talk about what is actually going on and all of the stuff that was happening just socially and everything with protests and pandemic and all of that, and then you have this on wax and you're kind of listening to it, I was left with a lot, you know. It's all of that. It's like, oh my god, I need to hear this album over and over and over again. So I've got Tracy Lee, and new favorite of mine, Amir, who's also a friend of the show, but Amir constantly, he is witty, his bars are clever. I quote Amir all the freaking time in every situation because so many of his tracks, whether it's off of 21 Grams or whether it's just Lucy's that he's putting on SoundCloud, there is a quotable every single track. And every time I listen being like, nah, he's going to miss it this time. He's going to give me nothing. And every time I'm like, no, I gotta rewind that back. So I got to put Amir in that category because that is like a quotable treasure chest. So those are mine. Next category, we've got DJing and production. So you can do, if you want to do DJs, JR, for you can do R&B producers, obviously. But yeah, DJs and producers, I don't think we need to define it. It's just who would you send and who would you tell people to study in that category? Eddie, who you got?
So you want me to do 3 of each, or you want me to?
You can do, if you have 3 of each, do 3 of each.
I definitely do.
Yeah, you can mix them, whatever you want to do.
All right. So for DJs, I gotta start off with DJ Jazzy Jeff. But I feel like, yo, man,
technician.
Like from the sprint suit to how he innovated with the turntables, right? With his, you know, different techniques and. Like he's the complete. He's a complete DJ, right? Complete. And then Grandmaster Flash. I mean, if you really talk, you know, what he did with innovation, like in the early days of hip hop, right? I mean, and he was a master. You know what I mean? And I think even Jeff, you know, I think. The teacher and student in that aspect, right? But yeah, man, even listening back to them old joints, I mean, it's amazing what he did. But then I'm gonna throw a curveball here, right? Because there's so many different aspects of what a DJ does. So I got DJ Screw, you know, because DJ Screw innovated in a different way. He essentially created a whole genre off his style of DJing, right? And the sound of a whole region, you know, based on that, right? So yeah, salute to him for that. For production, producers, Pete Rock off the rip, man.
I love it. I'm here for it always.
You know, and Pete Rock just for, you know, what he did in his heyday, his golden era. You know what I mean? The classics that he produced. You know, all the artists that he produced from the Pete Rock and CeeLo Smooth stuff to, you know, what he did on Illmatic, and you know, the list goes on and on, right? But then what he's doing now, you know, what he's doing with Amir, you know, what he did with you know, Sky Zoo, you know, what he did with Smoke DZA, what he did with you know, all these artists, right? And what he's still doing. You know, he's my number one producer, right? Right there, right there with him, as Portia always says, DJ Premier. You know what I mean? Just I think even though Pete Rock is higher on my list, I would say that for me, growing up in New York, like especially being my teenagers in the 90s, I feel like DJ Premier defined the sound of New York more. You know, no offense, right? Obviously, Pete Rock is my number one, but you know, when I hear that sound, right, the rawness, the what DJ Premier brought, you know, with Gangstar, with what he did with Biggie and Nas and everyone else, right? And the scratches, right? So he could have been in the DJ category too, right?
Yeah, that
element of what he and then I gotta throw in my third is Jay, you know what I mean, because he was an absolute. I think I got the book over there, but I can't reach it. The other time, I mean, he just heard music different. You know what I mean? Like the samples and his time signature, which is what the book is all about, right? And innovate, you know, essentially created a whole genre that, just like I said about DJ Screw, right? He created a whole neo soul, right? Essentially, you know, and the musicians who took his production style and took that and ran with it, right, as musicians. So, you know, it's just super amazing what he did. So those are my three.
Nice, thank you for that. DJ Rep 1, who you got for the DJ producers category?
So for DJs, I broke it down. I broke it down into technical. I broke it down into pushing the culture as far as turntablism is concerned. And I broke it down into like the ultimate person who's gonna rock your party, regardless of age, race, creed, color, whatever you want to call it. So if we're looking for like the all around, I'm going with Eddie. And you got Jazzy Jeff. Like, I don't think there's a setting from the standpoint of DJing that you could place him in and he would fail. He can DJ for aliens on Mars and be good. Like, that's just what he does. And he's technical. Like, I know the joke is that he's a jukebox or a robot, but that's just how good he sounds when he's DJing. There's no mistakes, and if he makes them, you don't know. Even if you got a trained ear, you can't hear it. From a standpoint of pushing the culture, this one was tough for me, but I'm going with Rob Swift. Rob Swift and what he's doing with his whole team. These guys are taking bedroom DJs and making them killers. Killers. And it takes a lot of love for what you do to say, I don't necessarily care about my own situation and what I'm doing, but I love the craft to the point to where I'm going to do this and help others who want that type of help. I've had the pleasure of working with Rob from a standpoint of just training and him helping me on certain cuts and scratches. And when I tell you, if you don't have thick skin, you don't need to call that man. Because he cares about these turntables over my shoulder. Like, if it's wrong, it's wrong, and he's gonna tell you, like, no, that's wrong, let's work on this. This is what I see. And for him to be able to do that for each and every individual who has their own individual quirks and issues when it comes to hand placement, scratching, beat juggling, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot to teach thousands of people the 10 root movements of beat juggling. Like, it's a lot. So, right. So from the standpoint of pushing the culture, I'm going with Rob Swift because I love what he's doing. If we're talking about the ultimate party DJ, I'm going with the Kid Capri.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen him. I've seen him in different facets of my life.
Absolutely.
And he never was playing the same songs.
None better.
But that energy was the same.
None better.
And I knew I was leaving out that joint with a soaked t-shirt, corns on my feet. I knew I was dancing the night away off of Kid Capri. I've had the pleasure of talking with him on certain podcasts that we do on another situation that I'm in, and the brother is just chill. He loves what he does, man. You would think for somebody to be that famous that there might be some airs about him. Behind the turntables, yes, but when he's talking to you, he's a regular guy, and I love it. I love it.
None better.
Those are my three as far as DJing. Production, I just broke it up as far as just when I think of a certain space, these are the three people I think of: Primo, Dre, Dilla.
Nice.
And based off of just where they're from, when I think of those things and how they've been able to push the culture, or what production is. If I'm gonna start a class, I'm gonna start there. As far as from a production standpoint, to cover, east to west.
Nice. Thank you for that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Rel, who you got for DJs and producers?
I'm gonna be quick. DJs, mine are is heavily biased, but I'm gonna go. I would go Jazzy Jeff, Cash Money, Tap Money. I'm going
Damn.
Philly all day.
205 all day.
Philly all day.
Technician.
Coming up with and my older cousins, they put me on, so that was like the people that I was able to be influenced by when I was, coming up as a young boy in Philly, following after my cousins, you know what I'm saying? So I had to show those three loves. As far as producers, man, I'm gonna go with Primo for reasons everybody said. Pete Rock, listen, man, Soul Survivor, man, one of my favorite albums ever, man. Like, you know how hard it is to get all these different MCs. Like, he had combinations that you would never think of, you know what I'm saying? And they on a song together, and it's fire, and the range is crazy. You got the joint with Prodigy and them, and then you got the joint with Loose Ends. And like,
I was getting ready to say that. I was just getting ready to say that.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like the range, bro. Like, you get Rather Unique from AZ, then you get Take You There. You know what I'm saying? It's just, just genius. And Large Professor will be my third, man. Large Pro. Yeah, Extra P, that's my guy, man. Since the Main Source days, you know what I mean? Stuff he's done for Nas, and I mess with Extra P heavy. And, he's he's like the producer's producer. Like, all the producers give him props, and Primo will tell you that Large Pro taught him certain stuff and how to use certain, certain machines. So I'm gonna give Extra P his love. So that's my three.
Thank you for that, Rel. Love that you mentioned Large Pro, because he still does his thing on IG all the time.
Yes.
And I love that. So he's still just as passionate, just as into it, just as good, consistent. So I love that you mentioned Large Pro. Tracy Lee, who you got for that category, DJs and producers?
Well, Rel stole a little bit of my thunder going the Philly route. So, you know what I mean? But shout out to Cash, because the argument back when I was growing up was who's better, Jeff or Cash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you and Cash was actually my guy back then. You know what I'm saying? But, as time goes on, bureaucracy and all that other stuff. And plus, Jeff, man, he's just a technician, man. He's got to be mentioned. But I just wanted to mention that Cash and Jeff, they was like this.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go wrong with whoever you picked. You know what I'm saying? But for the purposes of this discussion, I'm going Jeff. I mean, he's the pinnacle. He reigns supreme. He like that. He's it. I'm going Kid Capri. Like my man Rex said, nobody rocks the party because he's the only one, or should I say, not the only one, but he's the king of not only playing those right records, but he'll get on the mic and be an MC, a true MC, meaning move the crowd, rock the party. His voice, like the way the sound of his voice, man. You know who it is when he gets on there, and you know what's about to happen. And to me, you know, when we talk about the foundation of hip hop, it started with the DJ. It started with that kind of DJ. You see what I'm saying? So shout out to Kid Capri. So and the third one I want to mention, who's also from Philly. I'm gonna go eclectic. I'm going with my brother Rich Medina.
Ooh.
You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
Selective.
Listen. That brother knows records. He goes in a direction that nobody. When we start talking about creativity, that's the reason why he's been able to build his base. He plays what your average DJ will not touch.
Shampoo on Tuesday nights.
Whoop.
Oh man, dang.
Hey,
okay,
I found myself in there one night like, yo, what is this?
All right, yeah.
That man.
Rich Medina is in a class by himself. I'll just say that. And if you haven't experienced the Rich Medina experience if he's anywhere near you, please do yourself a favor. That's all I'm gonna say.
So thank you for that, Tracy Lee.
So as far as producers are concerned, look, man, I'm gonna stick with the producers who I want to just do records with. Shout out to D-Dot and OJs. I'm gonna leave them out of this, but you know they are personal favorites for me. But I'm a lump Primo and Premier. That's 1A, 1B. That they're a double-headed monster. I'm not giving them two. I'm cheap. So Primo and Premier.
Primo and Premier are the same.
Yes. They're not the same, but you get it. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like the Cash Jeff argument. Like, you know, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Primo,
you talking about Pete and Primo?
Yeah, Pete and Primo. What I say?
Primo.
You said Primo and Premier.
I'm bugging. Yeah. Pete and Primo.
That's
a little bit of this, man.
There it
is. Pete and Primo. Pete and Primo. Dr. Dre, of course, and then Pharrell, man. Pharrell does it all. I'll leave it there.
So
I'm getting ready to go to bed, y'all. Y'all be blessed, man. I gotta get up.
Thank you so much. You're up in my producer category. You know, you won't be here to hear it, but you will be mentioned in my producer category. I just want you to know.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And again, not just because you're a friend of the show, but because you deserve it. So
I appreciate you. Thank you. But I would say, real quick, just to keep it short and sweet, my three DJs would definitely be Jeff, Kid Capri, and I would do the two-headed monster for the rhythm scratch with Pete and Premier. They like how they scratch to a beat. You know what I mean? Super funky, super like they make it an instrument. You know what I mean? If you listen to Jazz Thing, it's the version that starts off with this Kool and the Gang sample all the way through. He's scratching all the way through that record. He's doing a Transformer scratch all the way through that record, but you have to listen real close.
I know what you're talking about, the interlude, crap.
Yes. He's doing that through the whole record. You know what I mean? And my producers would definitely be Dilla, Madlib, and Pete. Yeah, because Pete will give you mastery of the machine, and then Dilla gives you mastery of the machine, and he creeps into instrumentation, and then Madlib can give you full instrumentation and machine mastery. Because Dilla could play drums. He knew how to play drums. And I think he played the cello or something like that too when he was younger. But he knew how to play drums.
That's what's up. Love the list.
Thank you so much, Rep. Yeah, that was
Y'all be blessed, man. Love always. You know, Kill salute, brother. I know he's not here, but
he
Max
will
salute,
see this. So yes,
no
he knows.
doubt. Y'all be blessed, man. Enjoy your weekend.
You too, brother. You too, brother.
And if you know anybody who need a good Jamaican on their adult cartoon, holler.
You know what? I'm gonna throw something out in the air. One of my buddies does a cartoon called Roach Motel. He's the DJ for 85 South Show.
Okay.
I will reach out to him and see if that's an idea. I'll get back to you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do it right now.
Landlord or something.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Pay the rent.
Get it right now.
Why? Yo, later.
Okay. JR, who do you got for?
I'm sorry. All right. So I think
I've been waiting on this, JR. I've been waiting.
I know there's three that people talk about, but I want to kind of name 3 people that don't get the respect, and then the 3 people that normally do. So
Yo, hold on. Before you do, Porsche, can I do an audible here? Can we give JR 3 writers and 3 producers?
Yes, of course. 3 writers, 3 producers. JR, you're up.
Okay, 3 writers, 3 producers. Okay. As far as producers, it's going to be Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. It's going to be Gamble and Huff.
Woo.
And then it would be.
Here we go.
Oh my God! I'm not gonna put my favorite in there, but I'm gonna say Quincy Jones.
Nice. I knew you were gonna say. I knew Q was gonna get mentioned. I knew it.
I'm gonna say Quincy Jones.
You hit a home run.
Yes. And as far as writers, I'm gonna say Smokey Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Leon Huff and Linda Creed. And
JR, can you mention some of the, just for people who maybe aren't as familiar, what are the most notable tracks that they would have written or that people should go listen?
Okay, with Linda Creed and Leon and what's his name? Shoot.
Leon Huff.
Yes. Any of the stylistics. Linda Creed and they wrote The Greatest Love of All. What else? And then you got who else did I say? I'm on this too.
Yeah, you said the stylistics. You said, I mean, can we safely say, you know, a lot of that Philly International, you know, catalog?
Yes. Yes.
You know
absolutely. And then I wanted to, because the reason why I said I wanted to name 3 people that don't really get, I was gonna say Kashif.
Woo!
I was gonna say Leon Silvers, and I was gonna say that actually changed it but I mean he gets his due, but you got to give it to Teddy as far as R&B anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to, like, you cannot not. You know what I'm saying? Because I already said Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, but
Teddy Riley.
Yeah, Teddy Riley. You got to give them that. You know what I mean? And that was those. And then the writers I wanted to say Dave Hall, I wanted to say Brian Alexander Morgan, and I wanted to say Devontae Swing. Those are the 3 people in the 90s that people do not talk about that actually changed the game before everything. They kind of came after the Babyface, the Teddy, and all that, and they kind of changed everything in the 90s to where it went. And everybody seems to completely forget about them and go to Timbaland, Pharrell, all of which is fine, but you had those guys. Dave Hall was producing for everybody, writing for everybody. Brian Alexander Morgan was writing for everybody. I mean, producer for everybody. And of course, Devontae. And if it wouldn't have been no Devontae, it wouldn't have been no Timbaland. So there you go there. So
there you go there.
There you go there.
There you go there.
Thank you, JR.
And no Missy Elliott either. So.
That part.
And for me, for DJs and producers, I'm just gonna put all of them together. I got DJ Premier and Pete Rock. They never get separated. So whatever category one is in, the other is right there with them. They're joined for me. I got Jay Dilla and I got Grap Lava. And the reason I put Grap in this list is because Grap is one of those like hidden gems of production. He has his hands in production where we don't even know it was Grap. So a lot of times people will say, oh, my favorite Pete Rock produced track is Half Man, Half Amazing. And we're like, but Grap actually produced that. So these are the kinds of things, and you only ever know this if you get Grap talking about it. Because he doesn't really put it out there, or if you're really deep into the liner notes or you're reading about it, that's when you're going to get it. But Grap is kind of like that hidden sort of gem behind the scenes. Like he has done stuff and added stuff that he's told us on previous Apartment 5B episodes that, you know, he was the one who added drums to this or you know, kind of fixed this or heard it and then added this sound and polished this up, and that's Grap. So for me,
you teaching me something. You teaching me something I know. You know what I'm saying?
Like get Grap talking about it, because he'll tell you. He'll be like,
he'll tell you.
I was there when this happened, and I was the one who suggested. You know, and even though he may not get full production, like co-production credit, I think Grap has that ability, that ear, that you know, the knowledge to do the production as well. So for me, I got Pete Rock, Primo, of course, and Jay Dilla and Grap Lava in that category. And then
and that sounds of Mount Vernon is fire, man.
There you go. There you go. So, and then the last category is going to be concept albums. Okay. So, which JR, if there is such a thing in R&B, if not,
it is.
Oh, good! I'm so excited to hear it.
I know one off the top.
Right.
So yeah, so you can name one, you can name three, however many you've got. Obviously between 1 and 3. Let's keep it shorter. Eddie, what you got for concept albums to study? Like, as in, the concept was executed very well. This is what you kind of have as an example of what a concept album should be.
All right. I gotta go with Master Ace got concept albums up and down, but up and down. But I'll just say A Long Hot Summer, man.
That one doesn't get mentioned as much as Disposable Arts does.
Right.
So I like that.
I mean, like you could pick any one out of even his newer stuff. Was the one with Marco Polo, A Brooklyn Story?
Yeah, Brooklyn Story. Dope album.
Yeah, like he just that's his lane, you know what I mean? And sometimes he does it so much. Sometimes I want to hear him kind of just rap. Sometimes, right? You know, just to kind of hear it, but you know, but it's just so dope. So you can't, you know what I mean? You can't front on it, man. He's a master at that. Then I gotta say Kendrick, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you know, Good Kid, Mad City.
Yes.
You know, I know To Pimp a Butterfly also a concept, but you know, Good Kid, Mad City, man. I think it caught a lot of folks off guard. You know what I mean? You know how he executed that, and you know, had like he had Section 80, which actually had chapters. You know, anyone who's heard this Section 80, I think some people called it a mixtape. It was actually an album prior to his major label debut. But you know, even though Good Kid, Mad City didn't have chapters like that, but it felt like it, right? It had the beginning, middle, end, told the whole story. You know what I mean? It had the suspense, all of that, right? You know, damn, what's gonna happen next? You know what I mean? And you know, tells the story about where he's from, and actually like has a moral to it. You know what I mean? It teaches you a lesson, all that. You know what I mean? So very dope. You know, conceptually and all that. And then I don't know, man, a left field one. I go with The Minstrel Show by Little Brother. You know what I mean?
Nice. Great pick.
Like a lot of people don't think of it in that way, right? But it all is, right? And whatever, one side is right, the whole underlying concept of the whole title of the minstrel show, right? And all the skits that tie in that prove that, right? But then every song and the interludes and all that, just super dope, well executed, man. Love it, love what they did, and MCing on that album was amazing too.
Nice. Thank you for that, Eddie. DJ Rec 1, what do you got?
So the first album I'm going with, concept wise, we're talking about Mad Villainy, Doom, and my bad, excuse me, Mad Lib. I think that album is top 3 when we talking about concept albums. It's crazy. Next one, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out which one I want to talk about. I'm gonna talk about Sitting on Chrome, Master Ace Incorporated.
Nice.
I don't think people caught it. They missed the first one. He threw a second one at you, and you still missed it. like his concept albums, he's made a career of that.
Yes.
And we talked about it on this show today. Like, for some reason, it just keeps going over people's heads, and they're just dismissing it. That's the Ace got to be spoken about a little bit more when it comes.
Yes, he does, man. Yes, he does.
I mean,
absolutely.
Sitting on Chrome was crazy, and the fact that it didn't get the budget or the play that I thought it should have got, just as a fan, I wasn't happy with that. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that today. And last album, De La Soul is Dead. That is I think that is one of the pillars of conceptual albums when we're talking about a concept, skits, and putting all of those things together. So those are my 3.
Nice. Good choices. Rel, what you got?
Conceptual. I got Many Faces for my first John. Like I said earlier, like the time that it came out, like even I was like, damn, like this is something I ain't really never seen before. The different like the characters, the fit, the type of song, you know what I'm saying? Like the way that John was put together was just, and then like I like the booklet because you get to see, you know what I'm saying? And I just think, if that would have came out at a different time, it probably got the love that it deserved. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because for me, like, I was going to get it because it was Philly. I was going to show love regardless. But when I got it, it's just like, if you thought you were getting the theme all throughout the album, then you was sadly mistaken. You know what I'm saying? You got something. Yeah, you got something. You got something totally different.
Matter of factly, he was like,
because you know how people do. They see a single and they like, oh, this is what it is, and then you get the album, you're like, oh, it's much more than this. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? And I think, I don't know for sure, but I think it kind of influenced some other concept albums.
I know for sure.
Yeah, so like I think I think the Sticky Finger joint was good, but I feel like it might have been influenced by that as well. You know what I'm saying?
I think he might have listened to a couple albums, maybe talked to a young individual by the name of Tracy Lee prior to,
I mean,
I'm just saying.
The MCs. It's a small community. It got heard. Trust me. So and then all love. And then I got a slept on John. I don't even know if a lot, but Crew, the Dirty 30.
Pronto.
Yeah, Pronto. When that John came out, the whole idea of that album was cool, man. Like, and it's another one of them during that time, man, like it was so much like dope classic stuff that if you put out something that's just dope, it might get overlooked. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's I think that's what happened with an album like that. Like, I can go back and listen to it now. I'm like, man, this was fire. You know what I'm saying? But you know, sometimes stuff just kind of gets overshadowed by, you know, by the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if it would have came out like when something dope come out now, you know, it ain't a whole lot of dope stuff coming out, so it won't stand out. But if you come out in 97, 96, 88, 92, like, it's classics being, like, it's timeless classics being put out. Like, you can get lost in the sauce. I think, like, Cruise album, like, I think that happened with that, you know what I'm saying? So those are my 3 for the concept albums.
Nice. I love the mentions. Tracy Lee, what you got for the 3 concept albums that should be studied for concepts?
I mean, since we're on the Master Ace thing, man, my favorite out of his catalog, I mean, he got a lot to choose from. But my hands down favorite got to be the Fallen Season. The Fallen Season that's like, you know, as an MC, right? I listen with a little different ear. I listen for folks that, you know, it's almost a little envy in there. Like, damn, why didn't I think of that shit? When I heard the Fallen Season, this motherfucker's taking you through high school and all that shit, and the details and that, and how it took me right back to high school. But his shit was, you know, he was in a non-gentrified area. It was an all-white area, so you're going through the whole social and prejudicial impact and all that. It's just so crazy the way he just. It's like you just close your eyes and you listen. It's like you reading a book, man. Fallen Season, which brings me when we think of gentrification. Let's talk about All the Brilliant Things.
Yes.
Kazoo.
Nice.
Let's bring it up to date. Masterful jobs, guys.
Yes. Masterful
job. You know, touching on a hot topic. You know what I'm saying? In the middle of a pandemic, right? You know what I mean? You know, Skyzoo is one of those guys. Again, one of the elite writers, one of the elite lyricists that we have in this time. You know what I'm saying? And he just captured, you know, what's going on in Brooklyn, what's going on in New York City. You know what I mean? You know, touching on that topic, man, and illustrated it so well. So, and then the third one, I think, you know, who mentioned it? Rec or Eddie, Good Kid, Mad City. I think it was Eddie.
Yeah.
Good Kid, Mad City. Kendrick is one of them ones, man. Let's not play around with this guy. Right. He's one of them ones, man. Yeah. He's the elite of the elite. Like, he's
he
one of
never
them
gives
ones.
you the same album twice, ever.
No.
And that's something like, you can bet on that one.
No.
You can bet on that.
He's the elite of the elite. Like, he's
Agreed.
one of them ones. So
Agreed.
Good Kid, Mad City.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Dope albums we mentioned. JR, what you got? I'm so excited. Please, for the love of God, put Boyz II Men in there somehow.
As a concept album?
Let's call one of their albums a concept album.
Portia, is simping a concept?
Oh, wow.
JR, make it happen. Come on.
All right.
I know one he gonna mention. I know one he gonna mention.
When you talking about concept shoot, I can go any way with who you think. I'm gonna start with what's going on first. I'm gonna go there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go there as a concept first. You gotta, you know, when you listen to that's we all know here. Like, you listen to that from beginning to end. Every question after every song, it's like, damn, that's what's really going on in the world right now. Like, after every one of those, you know what I mean? But I think the next one will be Here, My Dear, for sure.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
the one. That's the concept. If you want what a concept album is, listen to Here, My Dear, and you know, like, you in the courtroom with Marvin from the beginning of the relationship to the end. And it's like, if that is a concept album right there, like that's a masterclass of it, your personal life and putting it into music. There it is, right there. So that's 2. And a lot of people, for me, I say Hearsay by Alexander O'Neal.
Wow, nice.
That was actually before, because everybody tried to go to like Janet Rhythm Nation is the one, but Alexander O'Neal album is a concept. If you listen from beginning to end, they're at a party, they hanging out, like and it takes you through there. And I think Jimmy and Terry started with that and was like, all right, if this works, we know what we can do with Janet now. You know what I mean? So I don't think Alexander O'Neal Hearsay gets a lot of props for being a concept album, but if I had to say that, it would be What's Going On Here, My Dear, and Hearsay by Alexander O'Neal.
Can I mention an honorable mention in the R&B category?
Is it going to be Boyz II Men, Trey?
Hey man, close.
Okay, what you got?
One of the founders, the founder of Boyz II Men, Michael Bivins, Any Heartbreak.
I got you. Yep.
That's it from beginning to end, man.
I'll take it. That's close enough.
She said that's close enough.
I try to find like any sliver of a loophole so that I can see my and I just couldn't with Boyz II Men. Like they got nothing. They got nothing for this category. But anyways, thank you, JR. For me, for concept albums, we mentioned Master Ace. I won't exhaust it, but everyone knows I'm obsessed with disposable arts. I think Master Ace, like Eddie and Trey and kind of everybody said, has that lane, knows how knows how to do it, does it very, very well. He's mastered it. So I'm going to go with Dyer Kirk Jones, Sticky. I love that album. I think it's a very well executed concept album. But when I mention that, I do have to mention 2 Tracy Lee joints. So Many Faces and Glory, because to me those are both concept albums. Glory has, like, where Glory's concept is in the whole of it. So it's not only is it a album followed by videos that bring to life all of the tracks that Trey drops. It's on his IG, I think it's on his YouTube channel. But then also there's a book that goes with it as well. So it really is this full experience of audio, visual, literary, and it really brings it all together. And if you don't have all of them, you're really missing out on a piece of it. So get it. Trey will advise us where we can cop these these joints. But Many Faces and Glory, again, those ones are hand in hand for me, even though they're years apart from each other. And of course, Prince Paul's Prince of Thieves. That one again, I love. Very well executed concept, and that kind of goes hand in hand with Dyer Kirk Jones as well. They're sort of like synonymous with each other, but those are mine. Go ahead, Ralph.
Can I say something? Glory to me was therapy. Yeah. We were in a tough time. We was stuck in the house and dealing with all the social issues going on and people losing money, and we were in a tough time, and like it was like therapy for us, being locked in the house, and like the timing and the subject matter. I think Rec was mentioning that, like that time frame, and just when it came out, and it was therapy for us, man. So that's how I look at Glory, is like therapy, like. You know what I'm saying?
Just
like,
on that note, I remember when everyone was posting, news clips, video clips of the protests that were happening, and the only song that was being put on those was Changes by Tupac. I was like, where is the current, like, when did Pac release that? Why is that all we've got? You know what I mean? And then here comes Glory, and it was just such a, I love Tupac, you guys know that. I'm never ever going to complain about a Tupac track being on anything, but it was such a breath of fresh air to have an updated version of what was going on as well. Although Changes is still quite relevant.
Absolutely.
Rory really captured what we were all going through, and just like Rel said, I mean, and Rex said, it was like CNN for us.
I will say this, and this may sound like blasphemy, but because of what you said an updated version of what was going on. Like, essentially, it's the hip hop version of what's going on, right? And you know what I mean? Because what Marvin was doing, right? Kind of detailing, everything that was happening. You had that same feeling, right? It's the what's going on of the pandemic.
Right. Exactly.
Can I just say something real quick? Listen, I study, great music all my life. I've been studying it. I try to master the craft as best as possible. I try to use my God-given talents, and I believe in what I do. But it just adds extra sauce when I believe it, but then people receive it in the same way that I believe it. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to thank y'all, man, for not only receiving it, but regurgitating all of the things that I think I feel when I make, my music, man. And I don't take it for granted. It's just a blessing to hear it. You know what I'm saying? At times, especially from people that are very knowledgeable about the music, that listen to the music, that listen to all kinds of music. And it like I said, I just don't want it to just be just some water under the bridge thing where I'm hearing you give me the flowers and the accolades and I don't appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it because I put the time and the effort into making sure that it's received the way that you all are receiving it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
And again, Trey, sorry to add again to that note, is I really believe that there's something to be said about MCs and artists that either are from, the golden era, I would say, or the mid 90s, the 80s, that put the care and attention and quality into their work and don't just put out album after album and sacrifice something at some point. I think there's something to be said about that, and I think that when that due diligence is kind of met, then that's how it's received. And I feel like there are some current artists, and I'm not saying there isn't, but there are some current artists that do study from those people, from those MCs from the past, and do the same thing. They really take care. They make sure the quality is going in. I mean, Kendrick's is a brilliant example. He gives us, an album every few years and lets us digest it. We want more, and we're happy. And he puts the time and the effort into making good quality music. So that's again a testament to you and your work ethic and your quality, Trey. I really appreciate it, and thank you. And I know you're never going to stop creating. So we're excited for everything that you have upcoming and any future albums that will be dropping. Again, Apartment 5B is here for all of it.
Thank you.
Any last additions or anything to mention? Go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah, so since I had a couple more categories on the list, I'll breeze through them.
Okay.
For MCing, because I think that was one of the ones that was on the list.
Sure.
MCing, I think I'll be remiss if I didn't start with KRS-One. I mean, absolutely KRS-One, but some additional that I have on that list as well along with him. I got Ice Cube, his command and like, and that's to me an MC, right? Commands the mic, commands the listener, right? You feel him, hear him, commands the crowd, right? So along with commanding the crowd, I got LL Cool J. And I got Chuck D, with that voice, So those are my four. And then for sequencing, I just want to mention one album.
Sure.
This is probably my favorite hip hop album of all time, and I think it's because of the sequencing that makes it even that more great, and that's Midnight Marauders from A Tribe Called Quest. That sequencing is absolutely flawless.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And
That's
just as a
fact.
note, the reason I didn't mention MCing as a category was because we mentioned so many MCs along the way that I just thought, just in the interest of time, that we would, omit that one, just because we did mention a lot of MCs that were super great. But thank you for adding that. And if there's anybody else that wants to add to the MC list, go
I want
ahead.
to add a traditional MC, and that's Dougie Fresh.
Nice. I like it.
Yes.
He rocks the crowd more than anybody. We probably just named the name.
Man, listen,
Facts.
listen, and he ain't lyrical miracle on you to
Nope.
death, but you gonna be that mud.
He's an MC.
Nice.
And as far as sequencing, I want to mention my favorite album of all time, favorite hip hop album of all time, America's Most Wanted.
Oh yeah,
Sequencing
Yes. Good one.
Concept 2. I don't even know how we missed that.
and Concept.
Right. Facts.
That's my favorite album of all time.
Man, oh
Not
man,
people when I say that, but that is my favorite album.
man.
Well, do you got anything to add, Rec? JR?
Nah, America's Most. That was yeah, man. Yeah, that joint
It
is
don't matter how
crazy.
old. It don't matter how old you were.
Just as a
You
reminder,
know where you was when you heard that album.
just because it wasn't mentioned doesn't mean it's not great. We just
Right,
wanted to diversify the
right.
category because
No,
Yeah.
it'll always be It Takes a Nation. It'll always be, the same albums, the same.
Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders,
Yeah. Great show, you guys. Tell them where they can get at you, Eddie. Freestyles, everything.
Yeah. You get me at on Twitter, Eddie the 80, on Instagram, freestyles.com. You know what I mean? I've been taking a little hiatus, man, but I'm gonna get back into it, man.
We're waiting on you.
But it's all good, man. It's all good, man.
We'll be here when you're ready.
Yeah, man. But I'm still here, man. I'm still enjoying the hip hop and the culture,
Yes.
So, DJ Red One, where can they get at you? Where are the shows? The radio shows? You've got a lot going on.
Yeah,
Got a lot going on.
I have to apologize, but I needed a vacation because the next 8 months or so are about to get stupid. So I needed to kind of rest up for what's about to happen. Twitter at DJ Rec1, as you see below me. Instagram at DJ Rec1NE. I have 2 shows on Mix Show Radio Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Foundation, and I just got added for another show Wednesdays, 3 p.m. So I'm gonna do 2 shows that day. I'm just trying to figure out the second iteration of it and what it's gonna be. So I'm doing that now. Twitch, I will be back this Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. The schedule will be up and it's gonna stay up, and we're gonna be back on it. If you got a minute, jump on, download the app, and just listen. You don't necessarily got to participate, but
it's a fun time, man. It's a fun time. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Come be with. And all of my mixes, I am pushing those to mixcloud.com, DJ Rec1. So if you need a mix or you just want to listen, all of my mixes will be on that format for download or for streaming purposes. So get ready, because it's about to be an event for 2022. Trey, I gotta get with you when we get done, Trey.
Let's go.
Rel, where can they get at you? Do you have the merch yet? The t-shirts? What's going on with that?
I've been on my Eddie and Rec time, like I've been listen, I've been so just taking care of a lot of stuff, man. I just kind of and then I'm back in the lab, so that kind of been taking up
Right.
my
Can't wait for that. Can't wait.
my downtime. So yeah, and look, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. I got some shit. Like these past couple. Now listen. These past couple days, man, like just been eye opening, man. Like I got some. You'll see, man. I got some shit.
I love it. Talk your shit.
Yeah,
Talk your shit.
Uptown Rail 215 on the gram. JBen215 on Twitter. And yeah, that's it.
Dope. Tracy Lee, a lot going on. You've got Hip Hop Don't Stop by Lori Nelson Lee.
Yes.
Lori, still, where
Yes.
can we get all of it? Everything, anything.
Oh man.
YouTube channel.
Yes.
Everything.
Everything. TracyLeeMusic.com. TraceYlee Music.com. YouTube at Left LLEFT TV. That's left spelled with 2 L's. LLEFT TV. But I'll stop short of there. Of course, Instagram at Tracy Lee ESQ. But we are cooking as we speak, and we will be dropping in 2022. I'm just going to drop the music. I'm not giving a date. I'm not giving a time. I'm just going to drop, and you will only get it exclusively through me. I'm not going to Spotify. I'm not going to Tidal. I'm not going to any other source but through me. Period. Word. Subscription, streaming, and we're in the process of building it, but we're basically building a subscription page through the website where not only will you get the new material, but I'm sitting on about 400 records, 500 records that you've never heard before from back then up until now that we will constantly be dropping on the subscription page through my website. So, we'll make those announcements when time is due. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what we got going on.
And yo, if y'all in the DMV area, that wine tasting joint they be doing. Listen, I came to one and I ain't missed one since. Tracy, he see me there every time.
And thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for mentioning that, because we have one coming up first Wednesday of May 4th. First Wednesday of May 4th.
Just hit up Ralph for the date.
I got my tickets already.
What's the album, bro? What's the album? It's Kanye.
It's Kanye Graduation.
Kanye Graduation.
Man. And I'm kind of mad, I'm kind of mad because like during the pandemic, when they were doing like the virtual, I got to participate. I'm not in the area, man, but it was dope. It was
a vibe, yo. In person is a vibe. It's a vibe.
I got the email and I literally jumped out of my chair because I was like, oh my God, this is something I can attend. And then I'm like, oh, it's the DMV. I sat right back down. And I
might have to creep into Ronald Reagan for that one.
And tell him he's got to come over to Canada West Coast. Like, what is happening?
But thank you for mentioning that, bro. Thank you for mentioning that. Absolutely. Shout out to Wandering Around.
Thank you. JR, where can they get at you? The R&B reps. Catch that. All of it.
Yeah. All right. R&B reps.
R&B wants.
Yes. Okay. The website R&B reps, where you can get shirts like this. RBreps.com. Look, I already told Elise already on the text, so I just need y'all size. But but everybody else, y'all go to the website and get that. We got when this comes out, I'll catch that minis. We got we talked about Monifa's Lay With You and Tony Braxton 7 Whole Days with Victor and Danya. And our next big catch that is we are talking to Zoe, and we're talking about Faith's debut.
That's crazy.
Yes. Oh my God. That literally that episode, we go there, man.
Let me know y'all do that one. I'm watching that one.
Zoe. This is Zoe's episode. It was we just sitting there damn. Okay. But yeah, so those are the next 2 episodes coming up. Y'all can follow us on the R&B Reps representatives on Twitter. R&B Reps on R&B Reps on Twitter. R&B Representatives on Instagram. JR's World of Soul on Instagram and Twitter. And again, it's the RBreps.com for merch, our website, all that good stuff. You get everything from there.
Nice. And I'm on Twitter at Porsche, and Kill isn't here, but follow Kill because that's where all the Apartment 5B stuff is, at Kill889. and it's willmakebeatsforfood.com for all Apartment 5B episodes. And we do Twitter Spaces on Tuesday nights now. So yeah, I have to see if there will be one this week, but yes, typically there is Twitter Spaces every Tuesday at 6:15 Pacific Standard Time, 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much. Great show. Thank you.
Peace, man.
See you guys next time.
Peace.